Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
What's up? What's up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, January 18th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? What's up, everybody? Joining us here early for this early show today. Kind of like it. Something very, very rare happened Tuesday that I have not seen in racing since I covered it. Do you want to know what it is?
What is it?
We had no tracks running. Usually, other than Christmas Eve, and now we run on Christmas Eve some, or Christmas Day, every other day of the year we have tracks running, and we've had, even through COVID, we never had a day where nobody ran. Tuesday, nobody ran. We had three racetracks scheduled. They all canceled because of weather. So it was the first time ever that since I've been covering it that we've had that's not Christmas or Christmas Eve.
So what'd you do? Did you just go take a nap, or did you just go on a little quick trip, or what'd you do with yourself?
Well, if you think about it, I didn't know they were going to cancel, right? So I already uploaded Tuesdays, and then on Tuesday,
even more annoying, right?
Yeah. So what I did was worked.
yeah, more annoying.
Right.
It out. Yeah, it's well, hey, listen, those days, I mean, I guess not for sure, but I think those days are behind us because now we are straight into the Derby preps. We are straight into more tracks running. Better racing is ahead, so you'll be okay. But listen, last week was, if there's a week to happen, that makes sense that's the week, right? Because it was not. We talked about it on Blinkers Off last week, and we struggled to even find races to talk about. So the fact that a day went black, basically, that doesn't really surprise you.
No, yeah. Last weekend, like we said, it was kind of that final weekend before it gets good for the year, and it wasn't a lot of fun last week if you like to watch like big time races and stuff. But I'm really thrilled about what we're going to cover today. I think this card at Fairgrounds is awesome, honestly, and
it's really good.
I think next week's going to be even better with the Pegasus. So I think we're fully back engaged now after a slow start to the year, kind of. And look, like I said, it's Fairgrounds has got to be feeling great. Oaklawn canceled, so all the money's going to the Fairgrounds. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Well, and you have not only do you have the Pegasus, we get the Southwest running next week as well at Oaklawn, and everything kind of just again like this is. You're right. You go look at this card. If you guys haven't seen it yet, haven't looked over the Fairgrounds card for Saturday, the Lecomte obviously is the main event with it being a Derby prep. But man, really top to bottom, there's a really good allowance race. A couple of them, really good main special weight that has a few horses that I would imagine we'll see on the Derby trail at some point. It kind of has everything. It's, of course, got the Silver Bullet Day, which is the Oaks prep. It's got an Oaks, maybe potential Oaks horse in one of the races on the undercard. So it's kind of, and by the way, Louisiana, I mean, say what you want of it, like the horses of, Boulevard of Broken Dreams or whatever, but there's some interesting horses. Saudi Crown obviously makes his return to the track. Smile Happy as well. Like that's kind of a banger of a race, really. It's a fun one. It's going to be an interesting one, as these are older horses now, like Saudi Crown. What they kind of do coming back here.
Yeah, I mean, Saudi Crown prepping for the Saudi Cup in this race, so I think that's a storyline right there. And how far does he want to run? Blah blah blah. We could talk about that while we handicap it. What Smile Happy going to do? Boy, last time we saw him, he looked decent. Obviously. So yeah, there's a lot of storylines in these undercards. You highlighted it perfectly about the kind of the up and comers on the non-stakes races. I thought you made a really good decision not to do just all the stakes and do like the most interesting races for rapid fire versus here's this weird named stakes race that has horses we don't care about as much. So yeah, I think I will listen, and I'm really not overselling it. I think you can trust me when I told you last week it's going to suck this weekend, but this weekend now that we're here this week, I think it's going to be awesome. Like I'm really excited to watch that card.
Yeah. By the way, Shotty has mentioned our what is she, like, our admin? No, our moderator on the Discord. Go join the Discord if you haven't yet. It's free to do. You can get the link on any of our social bios. You can see that on the link tree. But just join the Discord. You just click two buttons, and you get to join in. Like, it's myself and Halterman and Magic, the whole crew, any of the fans. We're all on there, talking shit or talking about bets, or it's a good way if you have a specific question for not just Halterman, but anybody, like, someone's going to answer it from the racing dudes. And so it's kind of a cool way to interact with us. That's not just on the chat, whether you're watching us live or, writing us a comment on our videos or whatnot. So, or emailing us, you'll join the Discord. So it's, I follow along with it. Every night I get on there and see what the hoodlums have been up to. And there's tons of content out there. So Dennis doesn't like Discord, but he'll join.
I think I didn't even know I knew what it was, but I didn't even have an account, and I just got on just for this. I'm not getting on anything else, but I've been,
yeah, you like it.
I've been pleasantly surprised by how nice it is. It's been really good. And hopefully there's not people that are going to join it and ruin it, but it's very fun to get on there and actually talk to people in a sensible manner about the racing that's happening. So,
yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, do we want the word to get out on this too much? It's like, let's almost keep it our little hidden secret, because as soon as it does, you're going to get some douchebags in there.
Yeah.
That are going to, obviously we can moderate them, but still, like, let's try to keep it as pleasant as possible. Like you said.
Well, what I love about it is there's been some disagreeing people, but everybody is respectful, right? Like, nobody's calling anybody an asshole or telling everybody you don't know what you're talking about. It's just been like, a couple of times it's been like, I think Ryan in the group's been like, I don't think that horse should have been DQ'd. And I'll say, well, I don't know. I could see it. Yeah. That's the end of it, right? Like, you just go on to the next race. And so it's been very pleasant. I definitely wasn't, I'm not going to say I was dreading it, because that's not the right word. I really wasn't, but I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to get on this and hate it. I actually really have liked it so far. So
yeah, and too, it's like you don't get bombarded. You can kind of that's what I like about it. Like, you can just get on there as you want, and you're not getting bombarded with the notifications and alerts and stuff. You're like, hey, let's just go. Yeah. And you can see, like, okay, there's been updates in this discussion or this discussion, and we have it all categorized. So, like, we talk about, there's one for Derby, there's one for bets, there's one for like certain tracks, whatever, NFL, whatever. So, something for everybody to talk about. And really, I'm kind of with you, Dennis. Like, I didn't really. We've tried Discord a few different times for us internally, and some other things like work related, and I never liked it. I thought I just didn't like it. And I recently got into like sports cards, card breaking, card selling, all that good stuff. And I joined a couple Discords with that, and I was like, oh, you know what? When it's put together this way, I love this. This is great, And that's when we kind of like, let's revisit this. Let's do Racing Dudes Discord. And you're right. If you do it this way, the way we have it structured, it's very user-friendly. It's very friendly in general. And hopefully it helps everybody versus like sending us an email, writing a comment that maybe we missed on here or whatever. Yeah. So somebody guaranteed is going to respond. I mean, Magic, Shoddy has like a 0.2 second reaction time on that thing, so someone will respond to you.
I honestly, I don't have notifications on, but I like throughout the day I get on it here and there, and like I said, it's pleasant because it's not, I don't feel like I have to, because we do have people on there, it seems like all the time. But yeah, you get on and it's kind of fun to talk about things, and like I said, we're gonna just have to do a really good job of keeping the negativity out of it, and negative people maybe out of it, and just it's positive. We're having fun. We're talking about races in like the NFL games last weekend. It was fun to kind of check in every once in a while and see what everybody was saying about the dumpster fire that was going on in Dallas and things like that. So it's a good time.
Great time to be alive if you're a Dallas fan, right?
Yeah, God. Oh boy.
Golly. Like, and then just to like add like just make it 10 times worse. I feel like, maybe not. I'm not a Dallas fan, so, but I can't imagine going through that and then 2 days later them reassuring, oh, he's, by the way, McCarthy's staying. Like, we're not changing anything here. You're like, what?
Well, Yeah, and I mean, we were all in the chat. I say all, I don't know how many people are on there now, but we were talking, the people that are on there in the Discord, like, is it going to happen tonight? Is it going to happen tomorrow morning when we wake up? Like, he's definitely gone.
Yeah.
And there it is. Yeah. I mean, crazy.
It's funny, Kevin. I've heard more people talk about that. Not like I've heard so many like Eagles fans, Giants fans. Like you're like, I love this. This is amazing, And then really, with Dallas is probably one of the more hardcore fan bases in the NFL, where it's like you're either completely obsessed with them or you hate them.
Yeah,
and that's kind of and so whenever something like this happens, and it's like it's one thing to get beat. Like I talked about last week on the show. Like I wasn't gonna be surprised if Green Bay made it a good game, and of course it's the NFL playoffs. Shit can happen, but you ran out of your own building. I mean, it was a joke, and don't let the score fool you. Like they just let off the gas at the end. Green Bay did, but it was a complete and utter beatdown. It is kind of funny too to see the next night the Eagles the same. Like, can you imagine? Like in it, that division, the NFC East, like just all year. Oh, this division. It's like who's gonna win? They're all good. Eagles were like 10-1, I think, at one point, and they both just get demolished in their first playoff game.
I'm not sure if the Eagles might have been a worse performance than the Cowboys even.
Yeah, I think it was.
I've watched nearly every snap of Tampa Bay's games this year. They're not very good. They're really not. And for them to just kill you, that is alarming. And they could not tackle. They couldn't tackle professional players. It reminded me of like the Lincoln Riley days at Oklahoma, where they literally couldn't tackle any player on the other team.
It was so bad that it got the conspiracy theorists out. If you want any more proof that the NFL is rigged, look at these guys, how they're trying to tackle. And you watch the highlights, and you're like, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was trying, but it does look like he wasn't. That's how bad it was all day, the whole game.
Whole game. Yeah. Whole game. Like Dennis and I were texting back and forth there, and he's like, is this bad, like coaching or bad players? I was like, I mean, it's a little bit of both, but honestly, like it's a lot of bad play when you run like a play and there's three guys there to tackle and nobody can tackle, so it's both in this case. That was embarrassing.
All right, we'll talk. We'll get more into football here at the end of the show. But first, let's get to today's show, which was going to be a preview and picks for the $200,000 Lecomte Stakes at Fairgrounds. It's a prep for the 2024 Kentucky Derby. Of course, then we're going to give some rapid-fire selections for the undercard races at Fairgrounds. Not just stakes, some of the undercard races in general, including the banger of a race in the Louisiana Stakes. Let's go. Yeah, if you're the 49ers, I gotta think you're just sitting there thinking, wow, this is what my path now? Like, thanks.
Yeah. Like, okay. We'll take them on.
I mean, like, okay, you guys couldn't do it. We watch. I mean, I'm not the AFC side. I think we'll get into it, obviously, but that one's gonna be that. Those are two really good, interesting matchups.
If you're the 49ers and you can't beat, two of these three teams, Lions, obviously Packers, and then Lions or Tampa, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, if Tampa rattles off and gets to if Tampa Bay gets to the NFC Championship, it's just, it might be the greatest coaching job ever, or however because I didn't even think they were a playoff contender, like in November.
Yeah, exactly. I would be shocked, but honestly, they can beat the Lions. I don't think there's any doubt. Now, I don't think they're going to, but that's not impossible.
No, certainly is not. I mean,
the thing that I've been saying about Tampa the last 6 weeks, they've got a lot of guys that have won at the highest level. And you kind of, the last half of the season, started to see Yeah, they've got guys that know how to win, you know?
Oh, yeah.
There's enough of those guys left that they're not really like nervous or whatever you want to call it. They're not wowed by this playoff thing. It's no big deal to them.
No. Unlike what the Cowboys looked like. Looked like the Cowboys didn't know they'd ever seen a playoff game before.
A train wreck. A train wreck.
I don't know, man. So, all right, let's go to Saturday at the Fairgrounds. Race 13 is the main event. Lecomte Stakes, Grade 3, worth $200K, going mile 16th for 3-year-olds. Of course, this is a Kentucky Derby prep race. 2010, 6, 4, and 2 for your top 5 finishers. Field of 8 is at least scheduled here. Yes, I did see an Awesome Road may scratch for Brad Cox, which I'll be honest, I was happy to see he was in the race because I didn't know if we'd ever see him again.
Yeah.
And then maybe Next Level as well for DeSormo. But right now, we'll assume it's 8. I'm not really concerned necessarily with either one of those if they do run in the race. But the kind of the highlight here is the two Nash at 5-2. And, well, I'd say 3 horses, really. Track Phantom, who beat him, I guess, quote unquote, upset him last time out at 9-5 in the Gun Runner. And then you get the newcomer for Brad Cox. By the way, this is like a Brad Cox day at Fairgrounds. Yeah. Good Lord. Ethan Energy, Saez gets them out for that one. So kind of a list of horses. Like you got Nash, can he rebound? Ethan Energy, can he kind of make his name known in this race? And then Track Phantom, is he legit? Can he prove that last race was like a legit performance?
Yeah, I think, I think people will not be happy with this thing scratches down. And I don't think it's when the thing scratches down to a field of 6. But listen, I do still think highly of Nash and Track Phantom. I think they're pretty good horses. I kind of think they're going to run 1-2 all the way around the track. To me, when I start to look at this race, I think after the last time out with Nash, when they kind of set him off, this time I think he goes straight to the front. And now he's the inside speed of the race. Just send him to the front. I think he gets the lead in the rail. And I think Track Phantom sits exactly where Track Phantom sat in the last race, just right off the speed, waiting to pounce. I really think they're going to dominate this thing. And I just think it's going to come down to, you think Track Phantom will get by Nash, or do you think if Nash gets kind of a more similar trip than to his maiden win, that he'll kick on with it? I think that's all it comes down to. There is the 5 Ethan Energy in the race, who was very good last time out, stretching out a distance. Maybe he is kind of the one that can kind of play a little bit of that upset, but it's going to be a mild upset if that happens.
One thing about this show is it's always tough to do this show whenever you literally, like, your co-host takes everything out of your mouth.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got to come up with something to say that is exactly what he said. Because I'm everything about it I agree with. Nash, to me, like, I'm giving him a pass. I do think it's interesting that, not really interesting, but it's like, okay, he brought him back. I think we all like, okay, he gets another try. And I'm with you. It's like, don't fuck around this time. Just send him. Send him to the lead. Let him do his best running late. Because then right? If he still can't get the job done doing it that way, then you're like, okay, well, maybe this isn't his level or whatever. But yeah, send him. Make Track Phantom try to track you this time. Turn the tables. You drew inside of him. Do that first. Get the jump on him, which he can, right? Because that last race, you could tell like they were actively sitting off of it. Don't do it. Just go. So I'm with you on that one. And to me, it's, at the end of the day, you're just kind of taking, there's no basis for your opinion versus what you think is going to happen. Right. It's not because you're basically assuming Nash is either he's better than he was last time, or he's a fake. He's a fraud.
Yeah.
So I tend to believe he's better than that last time out, and I'm going to give him another shot. But I do think this is a huge race for him. We talked a lot about this after the performance, but like, this is a huge race for Nash because you almost have to win here. I mean, I don't want to like put that much pressure on it, but you kind of do, because even if he runs well, like, because we assume he's going to go to the lead, and even if he runs well but kind of gets nailed or gets kind of tired late and Track Phantom kind of passes him, or you're kind of like, yeah, I mean, he's good, but you know what I mean? Like, you need to see that performance from Nash because those expectations were so high, a month ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. For January 20th, this is a very important race for this horse. I don't think you overstated it. Yeah, the only thing I guess I would kind of add in is if he loses to Track Phantom by a narrow margin and they're 12 clear of everybody else, then he might still be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say he has to win. He has to run significantly better than last time out. I think that's the way to put it. That last race, it wasn't good. It just wasn't good enough. You're not going to be able to get it done running that way. And again, I think you kind of said it. They drew outside and they were like, well, there's other speed in the race that are maybe a little faster than us on paper. We'll just kind of sit outside of them or kind of sit behind them and he'll make a run. That's just not what he did whatsoever. So this is so important to get it right in this race.
It was almost like they got a little cute with it, kind of like, oh, it doesn't matter really where because he's better than the rest of them. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe he whether it be can't or he's just immature still, figuring it all out. We talked about it last time too with him with I forgot the name. But what's the other Brad Cox that was bad and they came back and the Derby winner. Well, Derby winner.
Oh, Mandaloon.
Yeah, Mandaloon. He completely looked bad, and then the next race at that fairgrounds, he kind of, oh, that's kind of what we were expecting from him. So, wouldn't be surprised in the least bit. I will talk a little bit about Ethan Energy. He's the wild card of the group because he really, if he goes off and if he were to win here, that main special weight. The first race was terrible on his debut at Keeneland. Of course, that was in October. Then he came back and looked like literally a completely different horse. Put it up at 83 Beyer, which is certainly not Nash's level when he won his maiden special weight, but it puts him in the ball game for if they run similar to the Gun Runner. So I don't question the reason he's in the race, but he's another one, right? Kind of makes you wonder: is it hey, it's Stone Street, it's a big time horse, like let's give the horse a shot, or is this horse actually the goods? And if he is and he beats Nash, then obviously he becomes one of the top Derby contenders.
Yeah, this one's kind of the unknown. I do really love that Luis Saez jumps aboard this horse. I think that's a very good sign. Now, look, I think, at least I think I know, and maybe it's not the case, but it could just be, Giroux's been on Nash, so that's why we kept him on there. But we talked about sending a horse. We got to send Nash. Geez, Luis Saez would be great on that horse. So I kind of wish they had flipped jockeys, to be completely honest. Wish Saez was on Nash. But anyway, Saez does pick up the mount here on Ethan Energy. And look, a great race last time out. And I wouldn't be shocked at all. The one negative from the race, and he beat this horse by 5 1/4, so it doesn't matter all that much. But El Magnifico did come back and run very poor at Oaklawn. So maybe there wasn't much in there in that maiden race that he beat, but he's the up and comer. To me, it's like I really like 2-7. I might play 5 if I can. If I find a single somewhere else, I might go 3 deep and just use the 3 logicals here. I haven't decided that yet, but I mean, Ethan Energy is definitely the other one to kind of look at here.
Dennis wants to know about the 4 can group at 6-1. Cassie, he wants to know if it's an auto toss. I mean, this is a horse that's got the class, right? It has a grade 2 win under his belt. Of course, that was on turf. Then went to the Breeders' Cup, ran on turf, ran well, really, in the Breeders' Cup, finished 4th.
Yeah.
Is this one of those cases? Interesting. Just kind of an interesting entry, really. Just one of those cases. They did start the horse on dirt, broke the maiden on the turf, though. Just one of those, hey, it's the Derby season. Let's try it once and see how it goes.
I mean, it's going to be a field of 6, and I don't know. The chat speculated it might be 5. I don't know who else might be scratching, but look, I mean, I think this horse can hit the board for sure, but you kind of look at this field and it's like, well, I mean, you should be able to hit the board if you're any good. I don't know. Really good on the turf. I don't really know why we're trying to go back to the dirt. Like you said, probably just what you said, actually. Jareth Loveberry gets aboard. I thought that was an interesting jockey.
Yeah.
And I like Jareth, but I was like, I'm really surprised he's riding for Marcassi here. So I'm not going to play him, but he's not, this type of horse is never for me. And sometimes this type of horse does win, but I don't like the surface switching and all that stuff. So
what do you, we'll get into this more as we go through the undercard races. But it's something that I was kind of figuring out. So I'll ask you that maybe could help people handicapping, but like, what are you doing with some of these? Cause you made a point, or you made a mention of it earlier. It's like, okay, I wish Saez would have been on this one, or Brad Cox has Saez on this one. Does that mean that's the one? Giroux was on Ethan Energy last out. He was all, he made this choice, blah, blah, blah. So what are you kind of, how are you kind of, are you doing that case by case basis? Or are you kind of saying like, okay, Giroux, even though Saez is a beast, like Giroux and Cox, like that's kind of, he's been riding a bunch of his horses. If he's staying put, that's a great sign for that horse.
Yeah, when it's a situation like what you just laid out, it's really tough to know because either one of them have won big races for Cox, and either one of them Cox uses all the time. So it's really tough to know. And I wouldn't, when it's a situation where it's really not obvious what's going on, you really can't take too much into it, in my opinion. Yeah. Like if it's a situation where Asmussen, let's say, has two horses, and Rosario's on one, and then let's just say Jareth Loveberry's on the other one. Rosario is the one that Asmussen believes is the better of the horses. But here with Saez and Giroux, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And Mark kind of made mention that it's like, listen, these are top jockeys, top connections. Don't overthink it. And that's, you can't, sometimes, like you say, sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes you overthink it, and you could create a situation in your mind that you'll be like, oh, why did I get off that horse? Because, whatever. So, I'm with you there. All right. So your pick, are you Nash? Is that your pick?
Yeah, I went ahead and gave Nash one more chance here. I really respect Track Phantom a lot as well. But yeah, I went with Nash. Give me one more shot.
Nash for me as well. Who do you think is going to go off the favorite here? 9-5 on Track Phantom morning line, 5-2 on Nash. Of course, you have the recency bias with Nash getting kind of smoked by Track Phantom last out. Do you think that's enough to create a little bit of value in Nash, or could you see Nash actually being like us, right, where a lot of people are betting him back?
It feels like to me Nash still may be favored. I just think so. I just think Nash will still go off a slight favorite. I know Paul texts me immediately. He's like, oh, Nash will be favored. Dennis is kind of speculating in the chat as well. And I kind of the same way. I think it'll be close. I think Nash will go off favored, though.
I think it's, Nash was too hyped before that last race to just be basically forgotten. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's going to be, I'm with Mark. I think it's going to go like 7-5, 8-5, 8-5, 9-5, somewhere in that ballpark, 6-5, 9-5, or 6, whatever. But I do think it's going to be pretty tight. I will lean towards Nash going off the favorite. And, as we do, let me hang on. So Track Phantom, he's probably in or close to in. I'll say Ethan in. Man, that's a tough one. 2.5 over under Kentucky Derby runners out of this race.
I will go under.
If I would have said 1.5, would you gone over? So you think it's 2?
I always try to factor in the injuries coming in.
I almost said 1.5.
I think it's under.
So you think 1?
Yeah, by the time it's all said and done, probably. Yep.
So there you go. You think it's the winner? Like whoever wins this is kind of securing that spot, or I guess it could be,
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm really high on the 2 Nash and the 7 Track Phantom. Like I think they're pretty good. So if they both stay healthy, I think they both have got a shot to make it. But I've just been down this road a lot, and I know one of them's going to get hurt, most likely.
Yeah. Instant Coffee last year.
Exactly.
Call Me Midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight Bourbon. Enforceable. Yeah. War of Will. Instilled Regard. Guest Suite. Mo Tom. International Star. Victor's in Trouble. Oxbow. The list goes on and on. And you might be sitting there thinking, gosh, I thought, remember Epicenter? Well, he got beat in this race. 2 Call Me Midnight. But of course, Epicenter went on to do great things. Cyberknife was in that race as well. So it's like, it doesn't, again, it's one of those that doesn't necessarily mean that the horse that wins is going to be in. Who was the Midnight Bourbon race? Proxy. Yeah. That was a good one because you had Proxy in there. You had Mandaloon in there.
Yep.
As well. Those top 3 finishers were all. Did Midnight Bourbon ran in the Derby, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you had 3.
Yep.
The Proxy ran in it, right?
I don't know that Proxy ran in the Derby. I think he got hurt, didn't he? Or
maybe he did.
He was in the Lexington, I think, and lost. Obviously, I don't think Proxy made it to the Derby.
Obviously, Mandaloon did. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, he didn't win, but he won. All right, that's the pick. Halterman and I are both giving Nash one more try here in Lecomte.
So, I think this is funny. Like, so it's Next Level, Awesome Road are going to scratch. Okay. And then Tiz Indy might. So yeah, it is going to scratch to a field of 5. Was anybody excited to see those 3 in this specific race?
No.
So who cares?
Yeah. I mean,
that's
honestly,
where I'm at.
When I saw Awesome, honestly, I mean, not even kidding. When I saw Awesome Road in there, I thought,
yeah,
why?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I didn't think we'd ever see this horse again on any certain kind of Derby trail situation. So,
yeah, I think for like, I think Awesome Road would have taken some money because it's Brad Cox. So I wish he was in it, but the other 2 were going to be non-factors pretty much every way around.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about them. I mean, it sucks because the field size. It's one of those cases where it's like it sucks because the field size is down, but at the same time, maybe you'd like to have 1 or 2 decent ones coming in. But at this juncture, I mean, at this stage of the game, mid-January, you're getting the winner of the last one, the horse that was super hyped that a lot of people thought would win the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And then you're getting a new shooter from the Cox barn. So I get that you're wishing that you had a bigger field, but you're also getting a pretty good tell as far as kind of where these horses kind of stack up with each other in this race. So to me, I'm not too upset about it.
Me neither. Kevin B's got 2 comments. He said you guys should start doing a pro football focus or whatever, where you give out style grades to horses like they do there. I've thought about doing that forever. I think it'd be cool. I just don't know if anybody would want it, but I've done that kind of thing with horses before. Never publicly put it out, but if you think there was a big market for that, I would do that in a heartbeat. That'd be easy.
It always amazes me, Mark, with the people that bitch year after year, race after race. Doesn't really matter about the field sizes, and it's always. I mean, yeah, it sucks when you have a horse like say if Track Phantom scratched out of the race, you're like, oh, that sucks. But it always like the 30 to 1s and the horse. It's like, well, what do you want? Like filler? I mean, I get it. Like the field sizes are smaller. We've come to that realization as a general racing situation these days. But it's like, what do you want? It's a good race. You got good horses.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is nobody's going to even remember those 3 were entered in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's
Rank your circuits. I saw you. Is that you responded?
Yeah.
So you put a Gulfstream, Fairground, Santa Anita.
Yeah. Right now, Oaklawn, I wouldn't touch it.
You didn't even put it in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. Aqueduct, honestly, I play a lot of just Gulfstream during this time of year. Sprinkle in a little Santa Anita, but Gulfstream to me, that's always been probably my best track. So.
All right, guys, let's get into some rapid fire. Time for rapid fire presented by Racing Dudes Best Bets. Make sure you go check out the Best Bets page at racingdudes.com. If you want myself, Halterman, Magic, Papa Dude, we talked about the spiel last week, how good Papa Dude's doing in sports. If you want to follow all of our picks, see who to bet each and every day, whether it be the type of player you are, what sport, We kind of cover it all on that page. Just racenews.com. Look on the main menu and see best bets. All right. We're going to take a fairground. Fairgrounds really is the place to be this weekend. So we're going to talk about a handful of races, and they're not all stakes races. And that's where we're going to start with race 3. It's an allowance race on the undercard there at Fairgrounds. It's worth 60K, mile and 70 yards. You got a filly 3-year-old race. So obviously lots to talk about as far as it goes towards the Kentucky Oaks. And a horse that I didn't know for sure. I didn't know maybe this horse would end up in the Silver Bullet Day. Tarifa. I guess if the horse would have rolled last time out, maybe. But 7-5 on Brad Cox. Get used to saying that on the day because that's how they are across the board. I wanted to make sure we talked about this one because it's obviously that we're going to see at least one or two out of here that are into the Oaks kind of conversation after this one. But what are you doing with this one? This is obviously a very, very kind of horse that a lot of people had excitement about after that debut. Ran in the allowance race at Churchill Downs, was frankly just really bad. Really finished 4th, well beaten. Are you taking coming back? I mean, you got to be confident that he's bringing the horse back, or are you very worried considering he decided not to run her in the Silver Bullet Day?
Man, I'm telling you, I was shocked. This horse ran so bad last time out. I thought she looked pretty good in that race and just did not run very well at all. But like I've been saying, like a broken record here lately with the young horses, I'll stick with her, give her one more shot. She's got to run better here. I definitely think she's going to. I would be shocked if she doesn't put up a better effort. So I put 7 Tarifa on top, and I do like the Amos pair, the 3 and the 4. That's kind of who I'd use underneath in the spot. And depending on how deep I can go in this race, I could use in the multis as well. I do prefer the 4 in second over the 3, but I do like the Amos pair here. But I did give the 7 one more shot.
Honestly, dude, it's bad as – here's the thing. I think as bad as she was in that last race, this field is equally as bad.
It's not good.
Like, I don't know what she stacks up with on time form, but if you take her last race buyer, it is only outdone by the 6 horse on debut, which was a 72 buyer, and the horse won by 16 lengths. Okay. And that's only the only horse to outmatch what Tarifa did in that last race, which was terrible by her. Like, I would argue, worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
So it just feels like even in the worst case, she's still competitive in this field, and best case, she demolishes them. So,
yep.
If there was one horse in here, dude, if there was an Asmussen horse, or if there was someone in here that you're like, yeah, that's, a horse that just kind of rolled in a maiden special weight last out, you'd be like, okay, but I just don't see it here. So I'm with you. I think it's Brad Cox I trust on the day, but I'm going to go. And then this could be a nice sign too, right, for the whole day.
Yeah.
If you see her roll, you're like, okay, they're firing today.
No doubt. And to your question on the time form, her last time form number is higher than anybody else in the race, the one where she lost. So yeah, that just kind of furthers your point. And by the way, that Asmussen horse that might be able to beat her is in the Silver Bullet Day. We'll talk about her in a minute. A horse that would qualify for this race if he would have chose to run her here.
There you go. We'll get to that in a sec. First, let's talk about race number 8. It's a maiden special weight at Fairgrounds. It's worth 60K, going 6 furlongs. This is a 3-year-old colt race, field of 12. There's some also eligibles thrown in there as well. But listen, we have to talk about this one for similar reasons as the last one as it relates to the Kentucky Derby. Exploration at 5-2, 9-2 on Cornishman. Listen, that was the 2 Brad Cox horses, a situation we talked about with Size on one, Drew on the other. You got the Asmussen horse, Guarani, Rosario the board on that on the 12 horse. But listen, I don't know about you. I've hit up my Brad Cox connections, everybody. The exact answer I got was they don't know. And I get like I've heard all of them, like, this horse is a beast, this horse can't lose, this horse sucks, whatever. I've heard all of them. So when the owners are telling you, I don't know, We're just going to see. That kind of gives you an idea of this is literally a race where we're just going to see what these horses do. Do you have any take on this one? Because to me, it just feels like either one of them could be a player.
When I handicapped it, just again, I've told you and many other people that listen to the show, I don't listen to anybody anymore when it comes to that. So no matter what they told you, I wasn't going to listen. But by just me kind of handicapping, doing what I do, kind of looking at first timers, I think the 7 is more prepared to win Saturday. I really don't know, like going forward, who's going to be the better horse, this, that, whatever. I think the 7 is the horse to me that looks prepared to win on Saturday. But I'll probably use the 7 and the 10 both. Maybe the Asmussen horse comes around a little bit, but that was really bad last time out for him. I thought the third best horse as far as these first-time starters, I thought the 8 Cascade Cruiser, who's 20-1 morning line, that horse really woke up with a big work last time out. So I wouldn't be scared to use that one as well. But I'm going to end up with the 7 Exploration on top.
Yeah, and Kevin, by the way, I am the Schefter of horse racing, but clearly I took the week off, the week of the draft, as you can relate to being part of my team, right? I think you added yourself.
Here's the big problem with being the Schefter of horse racing, like Jared is. I agree with that. Nobody knows the answers, right? So the Schefter can call somebody and they know the answer. The guys that Jared's calling who are very well connected don't know either. That's the problem.
I'm giving you the info I have. Like that's this way. And then in horse racing, it's very different than what Schefter gets in the NFL. I don't know. By the way, Kevin, I don't know if you saw, we dropped our filly, our first round pick filly. She got us 5 points. Tip of the hat. Appreciate it. We're on to bigger and better things, particularly on the Colts side. So, anyways, I'll just do this. You take Exploration, I'll take Cornishman. I mean, okay. Neither one will surprise me for this case. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Godolphin angle. It's even funny too that you have very similar breeding, both Curlin horses. One's on a Bernardini mare, one's on a Malibu Moon mare. Both highly sought horses. You really just throw a dart. Really, I'm going with the Giroux angle. Let's kind of keep it there. I think that's his. And this is it again. It's what we talked about earlier. You're taking an opinion and a belief of what you think is the case, and you're rolling with it. In my opinion, I'm going to say, well, I think Giroux is Brad Cox's guy, and Sias is coming in right to ride because it's a big day, and he's going to get good ones too. But Cornishman might be like the one. So, but I do think regardless, one of these horses is going to run well. And which one it is, you would think is going to be on the trail moving forward. So
when you look at the breeding of these two horses and they're debuting on Lecomte Day, I bet you one of these runs off the screen.
Kevin got me in the comments. I know I should have consulted you on those moves. Keeping all fillies. What's funny is the guys kept, I'd get texts from the guys, afterwards, like, hey, there's this. And Ryan texts me. And what's funny is Ryan didn't even do it on purpose, right? He wasn't even being a dick because that's not Ryan. Mm-hmm. But he was like, hey, there's this filly. It was like on one of Santa Anita there last week or something. Like, you can go watch this horse. It looked like a freak. I was like, okay, I'll add her to my team, so I'll just add the fillies. Yeah. It would be kind of a fun experiment, Kevin, to be like, let's just add fillies left and right and see if we can still beat one of these teams in the league by just winning the 5-point races with the wins. By the way, it may be possible. Although the claiming, the way to do that would be to draft them, because we would just get too killed on the 20 points. But if we could do one, we should have done that. When I fucked up the first round, I should have just been like, you know what? I'm going all in. Let's go fillies all the way and see if we can take this thing home.
I honestly thought you would keep her around until we saw her run the other day. And I was like, yeah, he's got to drop her. She's not, it wasn't bad at all, but it wasn't anything to make you go, yeah, I think she's going to win a bunch of races,
Yeah. I'm with you totally. I plan on keeping her.
Yeah.
I kind of it's like, listen, she's not going to be a bad one to have because she might just be a point getter, right?
Yep.
A lot of these teams don't have point getter. Like she might have got me 15, 20 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after watching that one, if she would have ran off the screen, you're like, okay, that's just like little ATM for me. But she still is good, I think. But I don't. It wasn't like, oh, maybe she'll try the boys later. Maybe she'll do like no. So we're moving on. We moved on from her. We're over it. It never. It's almost like it never happened. In my opinion, okay. That's at least how I'd like to approach it. Okay.
Oh, I don't know why, but that got me good.
It's almost like it never happened. I drafted a horse that you have ranked in the top 20 in my first round. Let's just call it like I don't know. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It really did not happen. All right. I'm on the 10 Cornishman. You've got the other one. Exploration. Let's go to race number 10, the Silver Bullet Day. Worth 150K, going mile 70 yards for fillies, 3-year-olds. This is a Kentucky Oaks prep race, 2010 642. Field of 8 lines up here, and you mentioned a horse that could have ran in that race. Number 1, Perfect Shot for Asmussen at 4-1. There she is.
Yep.
Up against who you expect? Brad Cox, Saez, West Omaha at 2-1, 9-2 on West Code West, and 7-2 on Sistina Chapel, which is a cool name, I think, for McPeak. So, spoiler alert, I'm picking her, the 1 Perfect Shot, because I was like, hey, she could run in that one, and they're running her here. I think that's a pretty good sign.
I'm with you 100%. And I took the number 1 Perfect Shot in this race as well. So we're very similar in this on this card. So that will be interesting. But listen, there's an allowance that this horse would be pretty highly touted for that race. And we showed up here, and I'm not in love with West Omaha. I don't think that horse is bad, but not great. Sistina Chapel, kind of same thing. Not in love with her. Not bad, not great. There is Miss Code West in here, who I am personally a huge fan of. Because of the Oklahoma circuit and being Oklahoma bred. But I think Perfect Shot is kind of developing into a pretty nice horse. I really like the pattern from a number standpoint, just improving. I think this is a good race for Perfect Shot. So give me the 1.
I'm with you. So there's some shows where I just can't concentrate because of Kevin's comments. So I do think Kevin, I would be interested in adding him as a member of my team if we want to go down that road next year. I'm just saying, Kevin, well, you at least add a little bit to the team as far as commentary. I'm with you on the Perfect Shot. I'm not. I mean, I don't think West Omaha is a bad one. Certainly could see her winning here. She kind of ran the same race a little bit, I thought, that she did on debut or on the maiden breaking. Numbers wise, I thought she was decent in that race. She looked good, came back, didn't run terrible. I didn't think in the Untappable, just wasn't quite good enough that day to Alpine Princess. So I mean, I think she's okay. I just think Perfect Shot in this race is scary. Came back, just what I like about her is it looks like she's getting better with each and every start. She didn't look terrible, but pretty distant in her debut. Came back, looked good, still got beat. Got to finish second. Came back, looked awesome. Kind of continuing to get better. Beat a comeback winner. The numbers are improving. Gets Rosario aboard here. I like her here. Perfect Shot, 4-1. This is a perfect name. Give me the shot. Perfect Shot. I guess since we did such a low number on the last one, for the Oaks, it's got to be 0.5.
If you went 0.5, I would still probably go under. I think this group's a little bit further behind. But, 0.5 shit, somebody from the fairground circuit's got to make it. So maybe you do go over in that point. But I think there's better fillies out there than this.
This doesn't scream like, this doesn't scream like there's some like a freak. You know, you got to remember too. Like we don't have 20 horses making the Kentucky Oaks, so you're getting a much filtered down version in that race, or at least a compressed version in the Oaks, and so you've got to be 14 of the best horses, right? I don't think I don't think we have them in here. So I'm with you. I think you start to see those horses because typically at fairgrounds we see a lot of good Kentucky Oaks horses, but those start to come out in the Rachel, right? And those start to come out in the next 2 prep races for the Oaks, not this one. So I'm with you though on this race. Give me the 1 perfect shot. You're on perfect shot as well. Let's hopefully get it done. Let's go to race 12. The Louisiana Stakes. This one is some weird reason I'm most excited for this one, even considering the Lecomte. Grade 3, 175K, going to mile 16th for 4-year-olds and up. Field of 7 lines up here, and dude, really, they all fit. They all kind of are fun additions to the race. Like I'm not gonna really knock on any of them. Red Route 1, Smile Happy, Saudi Crown, Happy American, 5-star General, Confidence Game, which somehow, if you don't even remember, like, because I almost forgot, won the Rebel last year.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Did. Yep.
And Capuna, I was like going through because I was like, yeah, Confidence Game. I like that one. You know, I like that horse. And, you know, I remember, you know, ran well here at Fairgrounds last year. And then you're like, oh, horse won the Rebel.
That's him.
I forgot. You know, and by the way, he beat Red Route 1 the Rebel. So it was a hell of a Rebel running last year. Got him in the Derby, even finished, split the field there. I, you know, got 10th, and really has not been good since. But anyways, thoughts on the race?
Am I just crazy to think that Saudi Crown is going to dust him?
I'll say this. I think he will, unless Smile Happy gets back a little bit to where he was at, because he is the only horse in the field that can beat Saudi Crown, in my opinion.
I look at it as this. I think a mile and 16th. I think that's okay for Saudi Crown. Like I don't. Magic's like, nah, anything over a mile, I don't like it. A mile and a 16th, he should be fine. Because he wanted a mile and an eighth, and he really did kind of start to slow down towards the end of that mile and eighth race. So I think mile 16th will be fine. I'm not scared of Smile Happy all that much. I think if you take out one race that he ran last year, which happened to be on Kentucky Oaks Day, I don't think he ran a race that's close to Saudi Crown. And I don't think off of a 203-day layoff, he's going to get to that type of race that it takes to beat Saudi Crown. So I'm not real worried about him. I think Saudi Crown's going to get it done pretty easily here.
I'm with you. For one, and let's not forget, like everyone needs to remember that number in the Al Sheba was so inflated, right? The 110 was a crazy number that they got that day. Having said that, he's a nice horse, and I do think he will. Yes, I do think he'll sit the trip. That if for some reason, and I see Shadi kind of mentioned it, 5-star Journal might cause some issues for Saudi Crown. I don't know. I'm not totally on that, but I do think if Saudi Crown were to get tired, if it's a prep, whatever, like isn't quite geared up all the way, like Smile Happy is going to sit the trip that would be necessary, I think, because has tactical speed, but will sit off. I just still think Saudi Crown. Here's the thing. I might play Smile Happy if Smile Happy were to somehow drift up and go to like 5-2 or 3-1, somewhere in that ballpark. I'd be like, yeah, I might play that versus Saudi Crown at 6-5. If that's the case, because if that horse floats up, that means Saudi Crown probably got pounded. Then I'm more interested. If it's 9-5 and 8-5, if it's 6-5 and 9-5, it's somewhere in that. Then I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm still taking Saudi Crown, but I do think it's interesting. Like, were you taken back at all by because it's like, no offense to the Louisiana Stakes, but it's like Saudi Crown is the weird one in the race because he's such a name. Yeah. And we know his expectations. Or are you strictly as like, this is a prep, that's it, I'm not worried about it, I don't care that it's just the Louisiana Stakes?
So when I first saw the entries, I said, that's weird. That's really weird. But then when I read DRF, the article about the race, Brad Cox said it's a prep. we need to prep him. We can't go from the Breeders' Cup to the Saudi Cup. We got to prep him. He said it's a perfect timing. It's everything sets up perfect to prep him right here at home where he's been training. So when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. It kind of reminds me of when Gunrunner prepped for the Dubai World Cup in the Razorback at Oaklawn. You go to that race and it's like, why is he here? Is he not doing very well? Like, what's going on with him? And then you read the article and it's like, oh, he wants to get a race into him before he takes him over to try to win the one they really want to win. And you remember that day, Gunrunner wins by like 8, and we're looking around like, yeah, he's probably going to win the whole damn thing, right? So, so you look at Saudi Crown. I really think that's all that is. I don't think it's weird or he's doing bad because he's here. I just think it's a timing thing. And we're gonna prep him here, and then off we go to Saudi.
I do think that the one caveat or the one kind of question mark or concern is like he's coming off of a layoff. Saudi Crown, obviously, Smile Happy is too, but Saudi Crown's coming off a long layoff, not super long, but from November. The Breeders' Cup, he was awful. He got smoked. I can't remember how many were in the Classic, but he got last. Let's just say he finished 10th.
Yeah.
Was never really a factor. Was never a factor in the race. Like it wasn't his thing. Granted, 1.25 miles, the whole 9 yards, like wasn't his thing. But you wonder, right? Because that horse hadn't been tested like that, hadn't been pounded in the ground like that. What that will do to him coming off of that. So if there is a time to beat him, it's here, in my opinion. It's just I wish that you had Smile Happy with one race under his belt. He does do well off the layoff. He's done well off the layoff in the past. So if Mark's right, if you're getting 3-1 versus 1-2, then I would take Smile Happy at those prices. But if you can tell me if you can get 2-1 on both of them, Saudi Crown's the one I'm leaning towards.
So you're right. He did win off of a layoff last year. It was an allowance at Oaklawn, and he looked pretty good. Did you notice who ran second in that race, though?
Which one?
In that race, the allowance at Oaklawn.
The horse that cannot win a race.
Yeah.
Yeah. The horse that refuses to win any race whatsoever. Speed bias. Yeah. So no, that's totally fair. And yeah, Mark, it's such a class relief for Saudi Crown. It really is. And it's a perfect spot for him. All I'm saying is if he were to lose, it's a spot he could definitely lose because of all the things I just mentioned. But do you think, are you even, even a best case scenario here, he runs well and wins like you think? Are you, this Saudi Cup, that's a different monster. Getting back into it, do you think he can win that race, or was the Classic kind of a tall tale sign? Was it a detriment to that goal? Because a lot of people said go to the Breeders' Cup dirt mile, go running that.
Yeah.
Then kind of work your way to the big one instead of running the Classic, and they chose the Classic. Do you think that could have an impact?
Yeah, I don't think if your goal all along was to win the Saudi Cup, I would have built him mile at the Breeders' Cup, mile 16th here, a mile and an eighth over there. I think that does make the most logical sense for the buildup, but I think we'll see if the Breeders' Cup's behind him in this race. If he doesn't run very well here, it's like, well, they ruined him, But if he bounces out of it and runs fine here, he'd probably be okay. I won't really worry about the Breeders' Cup. But I think, look, the biggest thing is you're stretching out again in distance. It is a 1-turn mile and an eighth over there, which is weird, but that's what it is. It just depends on who else is over there, I think, once we get to that night. But I think he's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 choices if he wins this race.
For sure. He's got the, he's got the name, right? He's got the connections. He's got the name. He's been, he's flashy. He's been a good horse. So yeah, I'm with you. You've got Saudi Crown. I'll say Smile Happy just from the price I think we're going to get on him. But definitely an interesting race moving forward. It's kind of other than your Breeders' Cup Classic winner, it's a lot of what we have to work with this year.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just kind of scary.
What I hate about the Saudi Cup is it ruined the Pegasus, right? Like, if the Saudi Cup doesn't exist, the Pegasus is sitting there with, Saudi Crown and National Treasure and White Abario. And it's like, wow, here we go. This is going to be a great Pegasus. And now it's like we get National Treasure, right? Right. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah. No, yeah. Because there was a lot of talks of like Saudi Crown running in that too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, there's no way you're running the Classic, the Pegasus, and Saudi. You're just not. You're not. And you take this, if you're taking those 3 races, which one's the odd man out? Well,
yeah,
it's Pegasus. The Pegasus isn't a $10 million race or $16 million race like they wanted it to, or whatever it was. What was the high? I don't remember.
I think it got up to 16, maybe. Yeah, but
it's just insane to think about.
Oh, I mean, and it was such a big deal, and it was still going just fine. And then the Saudi Cup came, and it's like, oh boy, that's not good.
Yeah. Well, Saudi money, man. They said no, we'll squash you. So.
Well, and I can't argue with it, right? Like, makes sense.
Well, the thing too it's turned into, it's just kind of weird, is even when it was a big race, they haven't been big races. When you had the billing of like, oh, we're gonna get that matchup we wanted, it's gonna be. And then when you look at like Chrome didn't fire, it's just like you had the buildup when you had the hope that it would be this big time race. It's now, don't take that the wrong way. Like, we've had some good horses running it, right? It's really good horses, great horses running it, but they've been like paid workouts really for them. And so it hasn't been the race that they wanted it to be, I don't think, clearly.
Yeah. Yep. The problem, this is where we get exposed as an industry lacking support, because it was such a great idea. We have nothing going on in January. Let's make a major January event. And you know what? It has worked. The bettors have responded. And it's a big weekend for us, for our business.
It's still a big betting card. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. It's a big weekend, and it's great. But instead of the industry getting behind it, they just kind of, oh, how dumb is that? That's stupid. It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, it's a really good date to have it. There's not a whole lot going on. Like, industry wide, it should have been hugely supported. And from the start, even when we were getting Chrome taking on Arrogate, they were just making fun of it, and it's just like, why do you guys do that? Like, people are excited about it.
That was such a weird time. Remember that?
It was. I know.
Like, people probably don't even think that was real, but it was. Like, we were like the only ones that were like, well, not the, I don't know we were the only ones, but it felt like we were.
From our colleagues, we were close to the only ones.
We're like, this is a great idea. This is awesome. And why would
it'll never work? Why? Yeah.
We created, and then they had it. They bitched about, you had like, I don't know, 6 like kind of stakes races that were all kind of bullshitty stakes races, but these races suck. I can't believe they're running them on that. It's like, well, dude, these races are being bet like crazy. The odds are awesome in all of them. Like, what do you want?
I don't know. Maybe that was the start of me realizing, man, these people just don't have a clue, because
that's true.
I just never I just never could wrap my head around, why would we not want a massive event? And it really, from a betting standpoint, it's still a very big event in January when nothing's really happening. Why is that bad? And it's at a perfect spot where the Breeders', or not the Breeders' Cup, the Kentucky Derby Prep Trail, really, it started, yes, but it hasn't really massively kicked in, right? If you try to do it in March, it's like, don't do that. You don't need to do it in March because we got a lot going on. Perfect time, and everybody shit on it. And like I said, we're building up this Arrogate versus Chrome thing, and everybody's like, yeah, well, I bet that race doesn't even happen. And it's like, well, they just drew it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
Well, the only thing I wish they would have done, and it's kind of pointless now, but I kept thinking, put the Holy Bull on the undercard.
Yeah.
Make that like a big, massive, and I get why they didn't, because you want to make it 2 day, the Holy Bull card be one event and that, but as like make it a huge, even bigger. You got the Holy Bull as an undercard of the Pegasus, but obviously you've added a couple Pegasus races, which just added some intrigue as well. To me, it's like I don't give a shit. I'll bet it. So it is what it is. But I see, man, the comments are blowing up here with some of these.
I think the funniest kind of thing, the argument from a lot of colleagues of ours, well, this ruins Dawn Handicap Day.
Yeah.
Dawn, I mean, no offense. The Dawn Handicap was always a fun day, but the Dawn Handicap Day, that isn't a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a big race that they run and it's fun. And look, I'm not shitting on the Dawn Handicap. It was fun.
But come on.
You put it on steroids and you actually made it a day instead of just another race on the card or on the schedule there at Gulfstream.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just like, are you insane? And I guarantee you the people that bet the Dawn Handicap are gonna bet the Pegasus, because those are hardcore racing fans that are gonna bet the 5th at Gulfstream that's getting ready to go off as well. I mean,
well, yeah, and it's like you're gonna bet it regardless. So let's just not make it massive, right? Like you're betting Gulfstream no matter what. I mean, if you're a bettor,
right?
But if you throw in the Pegasus and you throw in the Holy Bull and you throw in like this, like like look at what the Travers or like Whitney Day or what all the Belmont does. Like they make these massive days within, like everyone's betting Belmont obviously, but like if you add in the Belmont Stakes, you add in the Met Mile, you add it's like the Met, it's huge, and it's like you're turning a big day into a monster day. So I don't know. We don't run the sport, clearly.
No, we don't. We just cover it. And so that's why I don't get into this kind of stuff very often anymore, because it's mind-boggling. But anyway,
where's Kevin when you need him? We need him to run the sport.
Kevin had a meeting, so
sorry. All right, that's all done we have, guys. Check us out at racenews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button in the menu at racenews.com to learn more. Let's see, we're on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. That's right, TikTok and Discord. So make sure you go check out the Discord page if you haven't already. While you're listening to this, go join the Discord. It's free. It's just basically a little chat room for all you idiots and us idiots as well. Talk about horse racing and all sports and bets and all the good stuff. You can find all episodes of The Linkers Off by checking out our podcast page, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, all the places you listen to. We're there. The dudes who bet, Halterman and his dad will be, Papa Dude will be on here. What is it, in an hour? Less than an hour, 2 o'clock?
Yeah, we'll be on at 2 o'clock, so that's about 45 minutes away. While you were talking, something happened that I never thought would ever happen.
Alexis Zorba, I see the chat.
She won.
Wow.
She actually won. So I was alive to the pick 5 that paid nothing, but a small profit. But anyway, she was the last horse on the ticket, and I said, this race is pretty bad. Let's give it a shot. She held on. She won.
See? Anything can happen, guys. Anything can happen. Make sure you stick around. We'll talk a little bit about it in a sec, but stick around definitely for the extensive talk about the NFL divisional round. Halterman and his dad will be going through their picks on those. I'm sure Papa Dude will have some more advice, some more relationship advice. Which I gotta say, listening to it, I am 100% team Papa Dude on this one. And there's some advice where I'm like, probably don't need to listen to Papa Dude on that one.
No,
this is solid advice. This is from a formerly married man. No, I'm talking from me, but maybe your dad.
We're talking to him
3 times. Listen. It's solid advice. Listen, the guy knows what he's talking about. So make sure you stick around for what other advice. Whenever he goes off on those, do you just like, I mean, how does it compare to Magic? Because you've worked with some characters on these shows. How do you handle that?
Well, when Papa Dude goes off, you just let him go.
He's a highlight reel, so you just let it go.
You let him go, and you know that you know that it's going to be good, right? When Magic goes off, you're just you let him go, but also in the back of your mind, you're like, oh boy, what's he going to say? Is he going to say Safi Jusuf? Is he going to say something like what? Like who's he going to offend?
Yeah.
Remember when he was like, I hate all car salesmen, and we got a car salesman email. It's like, what's he going to say here? What's he taking before the show, and what's going to happen? So Magic makes me a little more nervous with his rants for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like now, it's like I just look anytime these rants start. I'm like, just keep them coming because it's just good content. So, I don't know what the Magic Mike show's doing yet. I haven't seen it pop up there, but they will be live later on this afternoon as well. So, stay tuned for that. Halterman, I guess we can. I'll go ahead and give mine, and you guys. How about this? I'll give you my selections. You guys can stick around if you want Halterman's full insight on this weekend's games. Of course, Papa Dudes as well. So give you a little spoiler, but I know it's some shocker, right? But for one, we talked about it already with Dallas. It's funny that I looked at the thing; they're literally all over the screen. I mean, it's everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's. I think more people are interested about them losing than who's playing still. All right, so I'll go through the schedule here. Texans at Ravens. It's not -9. That's a high number to take. I think the Texans are. Give me the Texans +9.
Okay.
I think that game. I do think the Ravens will probably win that one, but man, the Texans are. CJ Stroud, he's playing unbelievable. He's the best quarterback in that game, by the way. All right. Packers, 49ers. Give me the 49ers. -9. Another high number to take. These are high numbers. Other than the Chiefs game. Give me. I'm still going to go. I think the dream dies. Give me the -9.5 for the 49ers. Bills, Chiefs. You're all waiting for -3. I think I saw Nick Wright bitching about the line. I think the line's probably right. I mean, because don't you guys say like you typically get 2 or 3 for home being home?
Yep,
right?
usually 3. Yep.
So it's like I really do think it's a pick 'em game. Kind of, I think I would not. I mean, it's as up in the air as they come. We've seen this in the past when these playoff, literally against the Bills. I know this might be a surprise, but give me the Chiefs +3. Give them to me. Listen, you were way more critical. Obviously, I'm biased, but I thought the Chiefs looked better last week. I thought they looked at least a little more energy behind them, and you're like, none of them. Listen, I've watched every moment of every game of theirs. They had a little bit of mojo going. I get the game was boring. It was cold. It was not exactly a fun game to watch. I'm with you. But from a cohesive game unit, they seem to be more happy on the sidelines. And listen, they're every game they're bitching, they're fighting, they're complaining. Mahomes is yelling, whatever. Like, it just felt like a little bit more of playoff Chiefs as far as that. Hey, we're going to find a way to win the game. So I do think they're maybe going to have a little bit more cohesiveness. I think the game is going to be either way, honestly. But give me the Chiefs +3 because, why not? And Lions, Bucks, give me the Lions.
What's the line at that one now?
It's 6.5, -6.5.
That's about right.
I'm telling you, other than the Chiefs Bills game, honestly, because I think that one is whoever you like. I feel comfortable with the 3, honestly. But man, all these other ones are tough, right? From a line standpoint, because I feel like they're closer than the lines suggest. So Lions at home, they kind of looked like last week. I thought they kind of looked from a team that's like, hey, it's so cool. The Lions are in the playoffs again, blah, blah, blah. Like, to a team that's like, hey, we believe, right? We believe we can get this done. We believe that we have the unit. And I don't believe in the Bucks, really, frankly. So I'll take -6.5 on Detroit.
I think take Detroit too on that one. I think even though they only won by a point and they were in some trouble throughout the game, I think they got a ton out of that one. And I think getting over that hump, I think they'll play a lot better this week. Talking about the Lions. So
I do think this is a good point, and hopefully you guys, I'll listen to your dad talking about it. This is going to be an interesting, fascinating thing about it. I don't know that he's going to care, right? That he gives two shits. Patrick Mahomes, meaning that like it's his first road playoff game. And if you really dive into that, it's like that's a fascinating stat considering like this is his first time. But it's just like he's done everything he's won Super Bowls, he's won MVP, he's won incredible games in the playoffs. He's lost them as well, but we haven't seen road playoff Patrick yet. And it's just like, okay, well, let's see what he does with this one. So I think that's going to be a narrative, although I don't necessarily think he cares. But I do think that is like, he hasn't done that yet. So let's check that one off the list as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think it's going to bother him.
Here's the thing. I don't think the Bills are that good of a team.
They're not.
I really don't. They got off to a hot start, but dude, that game against the Steelers, if the Steelers were any good, that game becomes extremely close. And they let them back in. I don't think the Bills defense is that good. Josh Allen is great. He's also extremely scary if you're a fan, like, because he throws some terrible passes. Makes some terrible decisions.
Yep.
And it doesn't have obviously impact on games against the Steelers. It does sometimes on these big ones. So I don't know. I
think the Bills are there to be beat, but can the Chiefs do it? Find out at 2:00 today.
There you go. Stay tuned, everybody. I won't ask you. I know Halterman's wanting to talk about it, but he's going to hold off. I'm not going to let him because he's got 30 minutes to recoup and get ready for Dude to Bet with his dad and Papa Dude. So stay tuned for that, guys. All right, guys. I think that is it. I did have here. I got to show you guys something. I was waiting. I can't decide if I should show this, but it's too funny. So I came across this on Facebook last night. I've actually seen him before, but then I kind of really dove into it last night. I don't know how it is. It just started popping up on my feed. And it's literally called, if you guys haven't seen this, it's called Free Photoshop Edits. It's like a Facebook, I guess it's a public group. It's got 1.8 million members now. So it's a Facebook group. But if you guys haven't seen this, it's called, just go to Free Photoshop Edits on Facebook. And it's the fucking funniest shit. I was in bed with the kids last night. They were sleeping, and I was like just on my phone or whatever, and I was like belly laughing. So what people do is they send a picture. It's become, I think it started off for real, and then it got into this like whole let's check the comments type thing. People will post a photo. Hey, Photoshop this guy out of the picture, please, or Photoshop this seatbelt's in the way or whatever, and people just go completely, as you can imagine, as opposite as,
Yep.
They add the funniest Photoshops that you can you can. Okay, let me pull up on the screen here. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, you look at something and you're like, oh, I wonder what the comment section's like for that one. This is that page. So here's one.
Oh, good Lord.
So it's like, so this is a picture, and you go to the comments, and
it's just all,
it's just shit like, oh, and this one's, it's not, for some reason it's not loading. Oh, look at this. Look at this one.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh shit.
So what did she originally ask them to do?
Well, sometimes it's like
just a picture.
sometimes it's like for real pictures. Like it's like, hey, can you add this? And this one's like, hey, have fun with this one, right? Like and so sometimes it's a little bit of both, but I'm telling you, it's like you'll get sucked. Okay, I don't know about that one. See, some of them are like, okay, so here's a good one. And the people, like there was this one, and it was like, hey, it was the funniest shit. Like, so I would, the one was like, hey, this guy had, it was this picture, and it was these two guys. I tried to find it. I couldn't find it, but it was like these two guys, and one guy didn't have an arm, right? He just very normal, but he just didn't have an arm.
Right.
It was like, hey, and it was two guys, and it was like, hey, can you Photoshop this cell phone on the table out of it? And everybody started adding like mechanical robot arms or on his arms, or one guy put like a cut off arm in the middle of the table. Just the funniest shit. You're just scrolling through, you're like, oh, that's not funny, and then one hits you, and I had to share. It truly is something that I magically came across on accident, and I had to share it. So make sure to go find this page, free Photoshop edits on Facebook, and you'll thank me later.
There you go.
Dennis, there's a difference. I do need to date, but I also don't want to date. There's a difference. So, whereas Dennis wants to date, but he can't date. So
that was much funnier than the page you just showed me right there.
Well, to be fair, I did not give you good examples, but just trust me on my opinion here.
I think we've learned a lot the last couple of minutes.
So take that and carry that over into to the dudes who bet. So,
well, I'm gonna start with the Dennis and you dating, not together, but you two and your dating patterns with.
I haven't gotten that.
Dude. Yeah.
No offense, Dennis, but I haven't gotten that desperate to date Dennis. So. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And again, we'll see you guys next week with more Derby Preps. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Remember to stick around for Due to Bet Sports. Good luck this weekend, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.